Here we go. We are live.
All right.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Enlightenment Exchange. Now, listen, before we start, we need 6 subscribers to hit 100. Just 6. So if you love us, please share us. Invite your friends. 6 more subscribers to get there. And then we feel like once we hit 100, things will go much smoother.
Yep. And we'll leave you alone after that, okay? So
Oh, sure you will. You mean we won't show up at your door?
Exactly, right? Remember the last guy who said he would subscribe and didn't?
And didn't? See,
You
you
never
haven't
did
heard
that
from
again.
him lately, have you? Anyway, also, we are trying out a new format, new way that it's laid out. I think, right? Yeah, and on my end, I'm on the top and you're on the bottom too. We've been having some success with cutting out little pieces of the show and making them into shorts, and this format works a little bit better for that. So
Yep.
we're going to try it out and see how it goes. We could, but the problem is we just keep talking. So the bloopers are in the show, right?
That's right. It's kind of
So
like one long
if you
blooper.
want to see the bloopers, you need to watch the entire episode. How about that? As an incentive, right?
That is true. Consider it one long blooper.
There you go. And now and then, depending on who's around, we just never know what my face might have to say for itself.
That's true. That depends on our guests.
Yes. So anyway, I am excited about this one. So this is Halloween week and tomorrow is Halloween. And I am excited about this one because I've wondered about superstitions and their origins for a long time. And it was one of those things that I knew I could look into. I mean, basically Encyclopedia Google, you can look up anything nowadays.
Indeed.
And I never, I've often sat and tried to figure out what's the deal with the, why don't, aside from the obvious reason, why don't you want to walk under a ladder? Like to me, you don't want to do that because paint could fall on your head or it could, you know what I mean? So try to piece together what the old time reasons for these superstitions might be, that are not from the modern world. Right. So I am excited about this one. Are you superstitious at all?
I don't think so. I can't. No, in fact, I would say I'd go totally the other direction.
Yeah, right. Skeptic.
A little skeptical on superstitions. You know what? That's funny. There's a really fine line between kind of the spiritual aspect of things, which of course I'm all in on, and then the superstitious side of things, which I'm more skeptical of.
Oh, interesting. I am skeptical of superstitions too. But then, that's me. So we have a comment that, of course I am. So I don't know if that's, of course I am skeptical or of course I am superstitious. But either way, we appreciate the comment. Thank you for listening. Yes. And if you are not yet a subscriber, please reach over and hit that subscribe button.
Wow, we got lots of comments today.
Yeah.
Hello, food lover.
Hello,
John.
Food lover.
Thanks for coming.
Anyway, so this is where I want to start. We just, we talked about, I've got a list of 10, so we'll get to as many as we can, in our 40 or so minutes. Oh, food lover from India. I think there are some superstitions for real in India.
Yep.
I won't speak to it because I don't have, good knowledge of it, but I have a feeling there might very well be. But for me, the first one is salt, and this is the one I've got specifically relates to spilling salt.
Yeah.
So like if you spill salt, toss it. What is that?
Toss it over your
shoulder.
Yep.
So salt was a valuable commodity in ancient times, and spilling it was seen as wasteful, inviting bad luck. So being wasteful invited bad luck. The idea of throwing a pinch over your left shoulder stems from the belief that the devil lurked on the left side. Can you tell I didn't read these ahead of time?
Right.
That the devil lurked on the left side and tossing salt in that direction would ward him off. Like, oh, salt in your eye.
I would just get it on my clothes. Like, oh man.
That would be me. There's a controversy on whether Jesus was a ghost or a zombie.
Let's save that for the end.
Yeah.
Interesting topic though. We might take that up as a whole episode.
Yeah, right. There you go. As a whole episode. Okay. See, there goes my face.
I know. So, on the salt thing.
On the salt thing.
I do. I mean, I've read a number of, like, not just the fluffy magic book, but real solid magic tomes by some of the, great magicians of the past. And all of the magic spells, especially when you're doing your protective circle, says that circle is made from salt. So salt definitely has a connection to the magic world.
It is interesting because that is salt circle, salt, one I have problem with, and I think I've told you this before, is the one where people put their crystals in salt.
Yeah. That to me sounds like a chemical reaction waiting to happen.
And I think that that's all that is, right? John.
Yep, I know, I got
it. Anyway, I've seen people pull crystals out of their salt. They put rock salt in a bowl and keep their crystals in the bowl. And I've seen people pull their crystals out and say they have pits. From the salt, because salt is caustic. So, but I mean, I don't know. I wonder, like, on Halloween, do you get yourself a carton of Morton and walk around the outside of your house, and create a barrier?
Maybe that's a good idea.
Or would, because Morton is iodized, would that be?
It would negate it.
Right? I mean, because now you've got that sort of corporate intention imbued in the
so it has
salt.
To be sea salt.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, I think sea salt. I mean, they do. They do use pink salt in a lot of rituals, and when you go to okay, I don't know what to do here.
Keep going.
That's all. I'm not gonna look at the comments. Our friend is not in the audience, it appears. Anyway, I lost my train of thought now.
Salt, Morton's, pure salt.
In the pink, salt caves, salt rooms are filled with pink Himalayan salt, and I have to tell you that it's amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever been, but if you haven't and you can find one near you, you should go, because it is amazing to sit. They call it halotherapy.
Yeah,
heliotherapy.
Right.
And it's actually, there's a machine that sort of what do you call it? It turns the salt into mist. Like the salt comes out into the room in a mist, but all the good ones have a layer of sea salt chunks on the floor, which the energy of that all by itself is amazing without even turning that machine on.
Oh,
and then they'll have slabs on the wall as well. And it's just wonderful. And it's good for your sinuses. It's, have you ever heard of people who go and move by the ocean, for the salt air for certain,
right. Almost for,
maybe
like,
skin
health
things
and therapy
or
reasons. Yeah.
And I mean, it's controlled, so you don't have all that humidity as well, like when you go by the ocean.
Well, imagine hanging around in the Mediterranean on the beach with a warm breeze coming off the ocean. You're smelling that salt. It's humid. That salty air is surrounding you. I mean, I'm feeling better just talking about it.
That's it.
So salt definitely has some health properties.
Yeah. So try it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, back to the superstition.
Yeah, back to.
spilling and or throwing it over your shoulder.
And so many people do that. And God forbid you're in like the kitchen with somebody who does that and you're walking right behind them, right? I mean, that'd be, what? So are you trying to ward off evil or are you trying to like put me in the emergency room? Anyway, so yeah, I think there are a lot of good uses for salt. It seems like the idea that, I mean, I remember, what is that? When somebody says a person's not worth their salt, I
Yeah.
think it stems from when salt was really so valuable.
Yep. The word salary is a derivative of the word for salt.
Of the word salt. Oh, right. See, so there you go. Okay. I think that's enough on salt. Now, here's one, because I don't know if I told you, but I've gotten kind of hooked on these renovation shows lately. So I just enjoy it. I like renovation. I don't know that I really want to swing a sledgehammer, but I enjoy renovation and design. And so I like watching these shows. But, I was watching an episode where they were undoing a house that had been last decorated in the 70s. So I don't know if you remember, but in the 70s, walls were covered in mirrors.
And beads. Lots
of
beads.
Yeah, beads too. But I mean, mirror tiles, like the closets were mirrors, the walls were, mirrors everywhere, which I don't really get the attraction. But with that said, breaking a mirror, what is it? 7 years bad luck is
right. I got to tell my Stephen Wright joke.
Okay.
I broke a mirror. Supposed to get 7 years bad luck, but my lawyer thinks he can get me 5.
Okay, so this superstition, I think you just told this one not long ago, or maybe you told it to me, but
I did.
Anyway, this superstition dates back to ancient Rome, where mirrors were thought to reflect the soul. Breaking a mirror was believed to damage the soul, bringing 7 years of bad luck, which was considered the time it took for the soul to recover. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, when you go back that far, you look at Merlin. I mean, they really believed in magic and all those things back then. So I can see, okay, there's a couple things. Oh, that's a good one. So one is I watched them undo this, home from the 70s and mirror after mirror after mirror with the sledgehammer. And I'm thinking, obviously construction guys have no such superstition, right? Like,
nope. Otherwise they wouldn't do their job.
They are not trying to be precious about it. They are, let's get this done. Let's get it down. Let's get it out. But then, of course, there's that part of me that says I hate to see stuff like that go in the landfill. So maybe we could try to be a little careful, although, right? But so there's that. But now I wonder, mirrors back in those days probably were precious like salt, right? I'm sure they were not, I mean, nowadays mirrors come with everything. You buy a compact, there's mirrors in your car. It's, I mean, on all kinds of things, you get a mirror. So I wonder if that was a part of it. Like mirrors were kind of an enigma where if people didn't see them all the time and then they saw their reflection in a mirror, they didn't really know what it was. Is that maybe the connection to it being part of, connected to the soul? You know what I mean?
Right. I do know that early mirrors were just polished metal. So the earliest mirrors were not glass. They were just really, really highly polished metal.
Oh, okay.
So that's prior to the glass mirrors. And then once glass was made, very well, you could use a mirror, a piece of glass with a dark background, which would act as a mirror. So mirrors have been around a long time. But I think the same way that that early
but if it was metal, it couldn't really break now, could it?
No. So that, I think that came with the glass part of it. But
this says ancient Rome. So I mean, maybe glass mirrors have been around for a long time.
Maybe. Yep, maybe. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when glass was invented.
Well, I will find out, but it'll take me a second.
Yes, right. Take your time with those nails. Because the mirror has your reflection, that right there is enough to make people think, oh, there's something really special about it. I wonder if that's connected to my soul in any way. And if you break the mirror, like, oops.
I mean, that's kind of really what they're saying.
Yeah.
And that it took 7 years. I wonder what the logic is in 7 years for the soul to recover. But so here, glass mirrors, a few very small convex glass mirrors have been found in archaeological digs dating to the 3rd century.
Sheesh. Wow, that's amazing.
Though glass blowing was well developed in the earliest recorded Egyptian cultures, it was largely confined to the making of vessels.
Okay.
So all the way back to the 3rd century, because I do Akashic work, I'm often thinking of, all the way back there. When I find issues for people, they might be, 12 lifetimes ago or 16. And so I always feel like you have to, when you find an issue, you have to look at the time, right? Because sometimes things were different then than they are now. So I wonder, have you ever broken a mirror?
A little one. I know I've broken little ones.
Yeah,
not a massive one.
Now, I had when I was a kid, I had a vanity, with a flip lid, with a mirror in it, and who knows, probably a fight with my brother, but that mirror got broken, and so I was trying to take the pieces out of the mirror, and the one from the top, and I pulled, and it, yanked.
Sure. Yep.
And I still have the little scar on the side of my finger from when that happened. And so we're talking,
years.
More than 50 years ago, more than 50, right?
Wow.
Like I was probably 8 years old or something. So,
I mean,
that's a long time to have bad luck from a mirror, right?
Right. And if you still have the scar, that went deep.
It was like a flap, but I didn't tell anyone. So I just wrapped it up with tape or something. I didn't tell. I don't know where the heck my parents were, to be honest with you. I used to eat baby aspirin and Alka-Seltzer. I told you how I crashed my bike and then it just disappeared. Got stolen. Indeed. But I who knows? I may not still be here if that bike hadn't gotten stolen.
Spirit was looking out for you.
Yeah, right. Always has.
We need to take that away from her now.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was my parents that did it, but you know where they got the idea from, the guardian angel, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
So okay, so that's mirrors. I have some more, but I'm gonna read a few and then I'm gonna let you pick.
All right.
Walking under a ladder, knocking on wood, a lot of people do that. Opening an umbrella indoors. Black cats, Friday the 13th. We'll leave that if we do another Friday the 13th episode, I think.
Yep.
And anyway, you can hear all about that if you go back to older episodes and find the Friday the 13th episode.
Yeah,
I think that was, I want to say that was an October episode, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was in prep for Halloween.
Yeah, I think it was an October episode, and it aired on Friday the 13th. Yep. So. It might have been 2023. Anyway, so there's that. Horseshoes, stepping on a crack, wishing on a star, which I don't really think that's a superstition. I love wishing on a star. I think wishing on a star is a good thing to do. It's like setting an intention or setting up a prayer. So I don't think of that as a superstition. I got this list, off the internet. So what do you think? What's next?
So the knock on wood is one that interests me. And I'm pretty sure that goes way back to Norse or Icelandic culture.
Okay, it could. What I've got here is the practice comes from ancient pagan cultures such as the Celts.
Yep.
So such as, right?
Right.
Who believed spirits and gods lived in trees. Knocking on wood was a way to thank or call these spirits for protection, evolving into a method to ward off bad luck.
Dryads.
Interesting. Oh, the
Dryads.
dryads or druids?
Dryads are the tree spirits.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep.
And druids are the Celts. It's
Right.
probably all of them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it. Trees have very strong, sturdy, spiritual
Yep.
connection.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
because they are a connection to what's within the earth, to what's above the
Yeah.
earth, which is where we are.
I
So,
knew a guy that taught or that led tree therapy sessions, and he would take people into the woods and they would just sit underneath the trees and maybe do meditation, but just being in that canopy of trees was the healing element, and people raved about it.
oh, so a friend of the show, and I guess I can say it without, I mean, nobody knows where she is. So, but Val, a friend of the show,
Mhm.
and she lives on a rather wooded property.
Hmm.
Wooded enough where she was talking about getting a pool. I said, yeah, you don't want a pool. Too many leaves here. It would drive you crazy. But anyway, she has this spot like towards the back of her property that really is like a triangle of trees.
Cool.
And I walked on the property, I walked back there with her one day. Terrible mosquitoes. I mean, terrible. But
There is that.
if you could figure out a way to mitigate that without, of course, the poison,
Right.
which we used to chase when I was a kid, by the way. Hey, mosquito man. I don't know what the heck was. I don't know.
Right.
It's a miracle any of us that grew up in the 60s, as little kids, are still alive, to be honest.
Right. There are so many things that they used back then that are just patently illegal.
Yeah, that was pure DEET in
Yep.
those
Oh,
in that fog.
yeah.
Anyway, so it's trees that create a triangle, which in my work, triangles are very, very
Yep.
prolific and important. And when I stepped inside there, I was like, "Oh my God, I want to lead a meditation here." So I can totally see where you're coming from with that. And I want to say it's Japanese, the forest bathing.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
want to say that's that the Japanese forest
I
is
think
a
you're right about
Japanese
that. Yeah.
concept. So I never really equated, knock on wood, to the trees. Because it was always the table, or
Right.
I mean,
Right.
what about this? People would be like, knock on wood, like what? Looking around for wood.
Right.
Oh
No.
no, bad
No.
luck, because that's not really wood; it's plastic.
Right. The plastic spirits aren't going to help you.
So it's not. So as we speak of superstitions, let's go a little bit to this place that we talk about from time to time, which is what the effect of the collective has on these things.
Right. So that's one of my favorite topics. Just to refresh everyone's mind, the reason magic works is because there's a long history of those imprints in our collective consciousness. Can I call it that? And so the more it's done, the better it works. So a lot of these, I'm sure, have a collective imprint.
They must.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times in my life. I mean, this is one of those. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that phrase, knock on wood, in my life, I would be, a wealthy woman. And, and it's interesting. So if we're going to touch on the collective, I think one of the best ones, I think, as an example, is the chakra system.
Mm-hmm.
The colors of the chakras have absolutely no relationship to the parts of the body or to the resonance of the organs. It is an organizational system developed by someone to help them keep track of the chakras, right?
Right. And we all kind of agreed on it, and we all use it now because it works.
Right. And so now, not only do we use it as an organizational tool, but there are, people who do color therapy, or if you're working on, let's say you want to work on the heart chakra, they put in a green light bulb and they get green stones, and so, and it works, which is interesting to me. If you believe it works, because I do know someone who says, nah, the colors, no, thank you. It does not, it's not real. I don't buy it. So for that person, sitting in a green light has no effect on her heart chakra, none. But then the other person who says, oh, I firmly believe that, it works for her. So it's really the collective consciousness is part of it, but then you have to believe it.
Yeah, right. It requires your buy-in.
Exactly. And you know me, I don't buy in easy.
True. But once you're in, you're all in.
That is true. That's also true. And I only go in through the indoor, by the way. I wonder if that's a superstition. No, it's really not. I don't know what it is. It's crazy. Anyway, okay. Anything? All right. What else?
I'm curious what you found out about walking under a ladder.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is interesting. In medieval times, a ladder leaning against a wall. Now that I think about it, a ladder, in medieval times would only be leaning. They didn't have the pyramid ladders like we do now.
The freestanding.
In medieval times, a ladder leaning against a wall formed a triangle symbolizing the Holy Trinity. Walking through this triangle was seen as blasphemous and could bring bad luck, as it was believed to disrupt the sacred shape. Oh, where's a ladder? Give me a ladder. No. That's interesting. That's interesting. So, and in my work, I'm all over triangles.
All over triangles, yeah.
I'm all over, and I find triangles to be sacred. It never occurred to me that a triangle represents the Holy Trinity. And what would that be? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So in
your world, all one, if you listen to some of the teachings, right?
Indeed. We're not even going to go there. We're not. That's a full episode all of its own.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like fun. So
in your world, walking under a ladder would be sacred.
Exactly. And I wonder, that's interesting, because a lot, in current times, design, I guess, trends, there are a lot of those shelves that are ladders that lean up against a wall.
Yeah, that's right.
And people keep their,
their stuff
on. You see them a lot in like spiritual studios.
Yep.
With crystals and what have you. You see them in there. So that's interesting that
hey, look, I just found something here. Look at listen to this. Walking under a ladder stems from ancient symbols of triangles and the belief that passing through them disrupts spiritual harmony.
Interesting.
I wonder if it goes even further back than,
could very well. And I wonder what they mean really by spiritual harmony, like spiritual harmony of the world or spiritual harmony of the individual, or
good question. I think it's pretty clear though that triangles are a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean,
my favorite shape is the Merkaba.
Oh yeah, which is all triangles.
All triangles, yeah.
So this, let's see. I have stuff all over like shelves and things here, but this right here is my design, and it is my coaster.
Sweet.
And it makes chakra balancing water. It's a coaster.
Wow.
So that and it's all. I mean, it's a big triangle and then little triangles.
Yep.
And then this odd number 2. I don't really know what the meaning of that symbol was, but that's how they gave it to me, and it actually works.
Cool.
So there's really something about triangles. The power of 3, right?
Right. Yep.
The power of 3, and you hear that.
Yeah. And in numerology, I think all of the 3 cards in tarot are pretty good cards. Let's see. 3 of Cups. Yes. 3 is. Oh, no, 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 no. 3 of Swords is kind of unfortunate. 3 of
Is it balanced?
Wands and 3 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles is good. Yeah, it's 3 of Swords. It's kind of scary, but they're all a big deal cards. Threes have some energy.
Yeah. So in somebody's eyes, 3 was considered the perfect number, the number of harmony, wisdom, and understanding. Also, the number of time, past, present, future, birth, life, death, beginning, middle, end. It was the number of the divine. So I don't know in numerology. I don't remember. I took a numerology class, but that stuff, my memory is like cheese. Swiss.
It's more when you internalize it, then it's not like you have to memorize it. It just becomes part of who you are. That's when it gets
Right.
real. Yeah.
So in numerology, those born on 3 are considered natural born problem solvers. They think of new ways to solve problems quickly and creatively. They look at everyday issues in a novel way. There's so many pieces of things to remember between astrology and numerology and all these different, modalities telling us who we are and how we think. You know what I mean? How we think. Some people say the number 3 belongs to Jupiter. And planet Jupiter is the guru of all something. If you click it, you can never find the rest of what it says. So I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's just the nature of Google, I guess.
Yep.
So life path 3s are often more emotionally sensitive and empathetic. So, if you look at all of those different things and different ways of looking at it, it really does lend itself to the idea of spiritual being, of being spiritual, of having spiritual nature, of all of those things. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. What's that shape? It's like a triangle surrounded by a circle surrounded by a square, right? That's another spiritual symbol. I think the triangle's in the middle, and then it's touched on all 3 sides by a circle that surrounds it, and then that's touched on all 4 sides by a square that surrounds the circle.
I can't type as fast as oh yeah, and I got a W instead of a whatever square. Let's see. Triangle, circle. Zoroaster spoke of them as 3 symbols of man.
Okay, yeah, it's another spiritual symbol I've seen, but I guess my point was just
okay, wait. Are you talking about just a triangle and a circle, maybe?
Maybe.
That's service, unity, and recovery.
That, I think, is from the 12-step program.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm almost
given the
positive
circle and the square represents the union of flesh, spirit. Really, if you think about it, sacred geometry, right? The circle,
yes,
the square.
That's my point. Triangles are all through that.
And not to be confused with the Zener cards with that wavy lines shenanigans that I do not appreciate.
Right. I got them all wrong.
All
right, let's go on.
Who doesn't get them wrong? Anyway, yeah, we still have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Black cats. What?
Black cats or let's do black cats.
Okay, I'm good with black cats. I like black cats actually. Although it's sad because I guess they, same thing with black dogs, they get adopted less. They're not as likely to be adopted.
Interesting.
So, the superstition stems from the Middle Ages in Europe, where black cats were associated with witches and the supernatural. A black cat crossing your path was seen as a bad omen, signaling misfortune or evil forces. So,
poor kitties.
Here is my question now, because we're talking medieval times, so they didn't have Google, they didn't have television, all of those things. I'm guessing because there wasn't all this interference from cell towers and telephones and all of that, that maybe people had a little bit more of an energetic connection when it came to manifesting and the law of attraction. So what if it was just simply this? The black cat crosses their path and they flip their wig, create all this nervous, frenetic energy, and then now all of a sudden they're like clumsy and you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that?
Fear consciousness has actually caused the problem.
Doesn't fear consciousness cause all the problems?
And what have we've learned? Absolutely nothing since then.
Zippo, zero, nada. And look at me, I got cat claws. Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting that you know how fast people are to believe. Oh, am I going to go here? We only have 5 minutes, so I think I will. How fast people are to believe that they have something went wrong because a black cat crossed their path. Didn't have anything to do with their own actions or inaction. It's because a black cat crossed their path. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So the bigger picture is, what do people use superstitions for? They use it as a scapegoat, right? Like something happened to me. Oh, I know why. Here's why. That's the problem. As opposed to, I got some bad energy, or as opposed to, I kind of screwed up here.
I mean, right? That is it. That's really interesting that's a good one.
It just dawned on me that if something bad happens, you know what? I know I have people in my life who do that. Something bad happens and they immediately need to trace it back to like, oh, here's why, because we forgot to do such and such. Not superstition wise, but there's this built-in need to find the cause. I have to find the cause.
Right, because they don't want to take responsibility for their own actions?
Yeah, I think so. And I think superstitions might be a part of that. Like, oh, the black cat, well, that's the cause, right? If you lean in that direction, you need it as a scapegoat.
Wow. And so just to take it a little step further, what if everybody realized that this is simply a plane with polarity, and there's always going to be good with bad, and dark with light, and evil? I mean, you cannot transcend polarity. I don't care what anybody tries to tell you. I don't care what some teacher tells you, pay me, $300 for this workshop and I'll teach you how to transcend polarity. You can't do it. We are human. We are in the human plane. This is the third dimension, and polarity is here. Like,
you've got light, you've got shadows. You just put your hand in front of the light. There's a shadow.
Exactly. So, wow. Like, oh, what is it? Energy flows where awareness goes.
Right.
If you just started to have some awareness that it's not happening to you, but basically, as the laws of physics, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what you put out there is going to come back to you, right?
Right.
What if you just started working on that awareness? In other words, people are really want to do all this heavy shadow work and all, find all the things they need to release and all these blocks and what happened to me in a past life and everything like that. Is that the only way to get beyond these manifesting these things that are negative or not happy circumstances for people? What if people just took a second to realize, oh, you got to take the good with the bad. You have to be there in order to have the light. There's the dark, and find a way to just manage that. And instead of blaming their circumstances on that, finding a way to leverage the differences in the energy.
So this I actually address this in my book, when something bad happens, the first thing you can say is, what could I learn? What could I learn from this? What if this was a lesson for me? What should I learn from this situation? And then if you want to take that a step further, you might even be able to ask, what did I plan before I came here? What did I plan for myself to learn from this?
Exactly. What energies am I here to? And that's another thing, you know, because I believe this was the way I was taught Akashic work, is that we come here with the idea of experiencing some kind of energy. So, you know, so maybe we're here to experience love or abundance. Abundance is an easy one, right?
Yep.
Well, if you came here to experience abundance and you experience lack, you are experiencing abundance. You are just experiencing
the other
the
side.
polarity of it, right?
Yeah, right.
And so if you could 100% get to the place that you understand you are the one in charge, I think the power of it, or the law of attraction and the power of manifesting, could be so much more powerful for you, right? Because I think one of the things that keeps the law of attraction from working for people, or manifesting from working for people, is that somewhere on some level they don't believe it. They don't believe they deserve it. They don't, you know, there's something, right? There's some kind of limiting belief that's keeping them from it. So,
in fact, on that point, it almost seems like superstitions and law of attraction are diametrically opposed.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Because superstitions is basically giving your power away, and manifesting, our law of attraction, is using your, you know, using the law of attraction to bring things to you.
Wow. Right? That superstitions are, say that again, right? For those in the back.
So it seems to me that superstitions and the law of attraction, or manifesting, are diametrically opposed. If you're in one camp, you're going to have a lot of trouble working in the other camp.
Wow. Well, that is, I think, the best way to end the show, right? So listen, if you've listened this long, we really appreciate you. And if you could really just hit that subscribe button, we'd appreciate that as well.
Yep.
Join us next week. Melanie will be joining us next week. She's going to come on, I think, once a month now. Cool. And we're going to be talking about the liminal spaces, which are, it's kind of that place between sleep and awake, between
that's
the
good.
ether and the, so that is going to be a fun conversation. And maybe even we'll lead, maybe we'll even lead that one off with a little bit of an energy meditation. Just
great idea.
Show us all what that feels like. So we really, really appreciate you listening. I want to tell you, John,
from India, thanks for coming.
Yes. I want to tell you, John, that over the last couple of days in a couple of masterminds I've been in, I've mentioned that this show is one of my non-negotiables. And that I look at this as a form of self-care. So I really, really appreciate not just the listeners, but you for showing up every week, you know, and having these conversations with me, and for you being different enough from me that we both bring something to the party, but the same enough that we don't have to argue,
right?
Or that we don't generate any kind of negative.
No, it's a really
negative
good
vibe.
It's a really good vibe.
We'll see, folks. Next week, we will talk to you next week about liminal spaces. And then we've got another guest coming on the 20th of November, Kyle, and she is an author. So she's in actually a couple of the masterminds that I'm in. So
cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And Jackie 1111, if you are listening, you can reach out, because I'd love to have you on the show. She's a tarot reader I met, and she promised she would listen to some episodes. So we'll see. Anyhow, check us out. And if you haven't listened to all the back episodes, go and find that one about Friday the 13th. That was quite a bit of fun. And there was a lot of information in there that was interesting. So thank you so very much. And we will see you next week.